We are joined by some amazing, bright minds who are going to talk about the intersection of what's changing in the world of manufacturing. Now making his way to the stage, these are today's experts here to talk about the manufacturing of tomorrow. See that pun second time around? Yeah, please welcome Ramesh Saligame, Prashanth Rajendran, and Sareet Majumdar. Yes, wonderful. Thank you. There's mics on the table and right there. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you're going to sit there. Well, we're sorry. You know, when we start off with manufacturing, most people go, oh, who cares, right? So we apologize for being a couple minutes late, but we got a good show, hopefully. So between these two gentlemen here, we got over 75 years in manufacturing, right? Can you say that about a group of people doing software stuff? No, I don't think so. So let me set the table first. Can I get the first slide, please? Great. So this is roughly how US manufacturing has gone over the last 3 decades. Not good, right? So let me ask a question of the audience. What percentage of manufacturing value add is our GDP? Shout out an answer. Anybody? 15? I heard 15? 20, okay. Anybody else want to take a shot? 5, okay, that's more reasonable. Yeah, it started off at 16% in 1990. We're down to roughly 9.3% today. So yeah, plenty of jobs have left the US. They've gone different countries. And this is non-agriculture manufacturing, right? So it does not include agriculture at all. Otherwise, the numbers would have been different. But anyway, between these two gentlemen here, we got plenty of fun stuff to do. Both of them run meaningful enterprises, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you in a second after I ask them a first question, but both of them are quite focused in what we call the regulated businesses, right? So defense, aerospace, automotive, manufacturing, right? So, and in the time that we have, I want to be mindful, so we've narrowed it down to just a couple of topics. So let me start off with the first question. Let me start with you, Sareet. Why don't you first introduce yourself, and then, you know, give me a brief commentary on what you think is the state of manufacturing today. You know, we got shutdowns, we've got tariffs, and just some general notes on what you think is happening with manufacturing in the U.S.
On? Yeah. Is that working? Yes. My name is Sareet Majumdar. I'm the CEO of ICTC. We're a contract manufacturer. What that means is we don't have our own products that we manufacture. We manufacture based on the design build of other companies. And we specialize mainly in the military, medical device, transportation type of industries. We have 3 plants. One is in Brooksville, Florida, so just 30 miles north of here. The other is in Titusville, which is Cape Canaveral. That one is more specialized in aerospace, working a lot with NASA. And we have a 3rd plant in the Philippines, which is where we do our high volume, low mix type of business. And by manufacturing, what I'm talking about is PCB assemblies. So if you've looked at any kind of electronic board, and placing components on that board, that's what we do. And then wire harness and cables, which are big, you know, could be little cable systems to cables that go all the way up into rockets that we launch into space. And that's basically it.
That's great. So what do you think is happening with manufacturing today? What's your opinion?
I think it's really a mixed bag. I think that this whole drive to bring manufacturing back to the United States, it depends what kind of manufacturing. I mean, really, I don't think you're going to bring, people aren't going to start cut and sew and do shoes here anymore, and you're not going to bring a lot of industries in. But there are a lot of specialized industries, and we're seeing it with chip manufacturing, things like that, that probably should be brought back because there is some technical advantages to having it onshore, less risk for the country, and that's creating other ancillary jobs and other things in the industry. So I think it's going to improve on the high end, but we're never going to get the little stuff back again.
Yeah, probably right. Also, can you, for the benefit of the audience, can you give an example of how you help a customer scale their business through partnering with them in manufacturing?
Yeah, so a lot of times customers will have certain products that they start out at a very low volume. It might be a great invention or a product that maybe even goes into a military, something that our military uses, but it has to scale up. Usually they'll bring it to us and our engineers, and we'll kind of clean it up for manufacturing, because most products are designed by engineers, and if any of you are engineers, they don't think of the manufacturing process when they design it. So once we clean that up, we prototype it, we give them first article samples, and then they go to scale it. Now in our organization, and in most contract manufacturing organizations, you have a domestic supply somewhere close to the engineers where they can come back and forth and clean up those designs. And then once it's scalable, a lot of times everybody looks for cost savings. So then they want it to go somewhere where either the labor or certain aspects of manufacturing become lower cost. And that's why we have our Philippine plant. So a lot of times, unless there's restrictions based on it being, IP protected or being a military device, we often then, once we scale it, take it offshore for larger builds.
Thanks. Okay, Prashanth, take a minute, introduce yourself, please. And then if you could also give us a general read on what you think is happening in the manufacturing space these days in the US, as you see it from your company, and introduce your company too, please.
Sure. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prashanth, Rajendran. I'm the CEO of Compliance Quest. But before I get started on me, why don't we give a round of applause to Ramesh and the team that put this beautiful event together. Every year, the quality of the event just keeps on going up. So kudos, guys. Great job done, right? So Compliance Quest, what we do is we help manufacturers build better products. What does that mean? We provide a suite of software solutions that connects engineering to quality, to safety, to supply chain, to manufacturing, all in one connected ecosystem. So we sit on top of ERP, we sit below CRM, and connect the white-collar worker workflows end-to-end across two different industry segments: regulated manufacturers, that would be pharmaceutical, biotechnology, medical devices, and industrial manufacturing, that would be automotive, aerospace and defense, semiconductors, high-tech, electronic kind of environment. Our customer base is global. What we tend to find as the manufacturing space is evolving, companies are largely growing through lots of different acquisitions. As you can see, even with ICTC, that what Sareet has done, set up different plants. It comes with different plants. Sometimes you set it up, sometimes you buy plants. Intrinsically, there are lots of inefficiencies that get created because of processes that are no longer consistent. Our job is to be able to bring those processes together, harmonize them, create a consistent workflow, so therefore customers can realize that improvement in the bottom line, but most importantly, position the competitive edge that they need, because the goal that we say is, if you're going to build a better product, you have to stitch the element of quality across all of these things so that you do better than the others, which means quality pays by you infusing that kind of a operational excellence mindset in terms of what needs to happen. With respect to where manufacturing is going, it's very interesting. We're seeing exactly the same, that the high-value products are coming back. The low-value products are remaining as is. I think the low-value product, people that are facing the challenges will wait it out in some way. They probably give a head fake saying that they're trying to bring something back, but that will never come back. As we all know, capitalism is not forcing somebody to do something. It's going to follow where the money is. So you have to sort of like adjust what needs to happen. But the other interesting thing that is also happening in the manufacturing space that we see is adoption of technology. And before, technology used to be largely hardware. Now you're seeing a significant adoption of the software technology that is bringing together a lot, and especially with the AI, there is a lot of explosion about how to bring about process automation and what does process automation mean. And as the workforce is aging and leaving, so are the SME, subject matter experts are leaving, and how do you capture that and bring that back into providing that efficiency gains is a big part of the evolution that we are seeing. Tariffs have been a boom for us in a way because it's forcing a lot of the enterprises to invest because they're afraid. Many people will get tired of the environment and they're going to leave the jobs because they're just taking early voluntary retirements in many instances, and they're stuck with not being able to execute what they need to execute. So we view that as I don't want to say tariffs are positive, but it's got a positive impact in a certain context related to what's happening. So it's sort of like an interesting dichotomy. In one way you see that some of the industries are coming back, in another way you're seeing job losses, another way you see that there is an opportunity being created, especially surrounding automation.
Great point. Both of you, great points, right? So if we think some of these jobs are coming, right, coming back, clearly there's going to be a shift in skill sets, right, that we're going to require, right? So, so Florida, I think, is reasonably well positioned. Can I get the second slide, please? So we are in sort of a mid-pack in terms of people employed in manufacturing. We're not at California or we're not at Texas, but we're doing pretty well as a state, right? So what are you guys doing different to kind of get ready for any potential business or businesses that might come our way? Do you want to go first, Prashanth?
Sure. I mean, since mine is largely labor related, right? Since I'm in a technology space, I don't really produce any kind of a physical device. What I'm looking for in this case is talent pool, right? And if you look at the talent pool, you can identify largely as subject matter experts, and a lot of people are moving from other parts of the country to Florida as part of their eventual retirement plan. Not that they're retiring per se, but the time when they used to move compared to the time they're moving now has changed. Before it used to be truly they're moving for retirement. Now what we're seeing is that a lot of youth is moving into the space, creating a much more plethora of resources available for us to be able to tap into. So going back to that technology automation, you cannot create automation without the subject matter knowledge. So we are tapping into the subject matter knowledge. But what is leaving is that entry-level technical resources, because AI is pretty much eating it, right? So we are no longer really hiring entry-level resources. They have to be able to prove, and that's in a way a sad part for the young graduates today, is you got to be able to prove that you know more than just basic coding. Because basic coding nowadays can be done by AI in so well that you don't really need that. But you need to be able to bring more of the business process skills where a product designer explains what is it they're trying to achieve. Before it used to be they would write it and give it to a developer and developer develops it. Now the product designers themselves are becoming developers because AI is building it for you, right? So the SMEs, along with that, product designers are much more of a critical resources that we are continuing to expand on. The other part that we also see is on the manufacturing front, because there is a big push to make this automation to be brought in, they're also desperately looking for you to be able to bring the best practice expertise, which means it's not that you lost everything to AI, but what you're having is that specialized talent is becoming even more critical, right? So we are attempting to create some kind of a training environment to teach them more of the SME and the workflows and the business process, less on the technical. Before it used to be we would be hiring more technical resources. Now we are hiring more business SME resources that brings value to enterprises.
Yep, thanks. Appreciate that. Sareet,
Yeah,
between the two of you, you guys have over 250 people employed in Florida, right? So he talked about blue-collar workers, which, you know, in manufacturing, that's not a bad thing to have. So your take on it?
Well, yeah, if you just do the divide, blue collar and white collar. In Florida, we have one advantage, is we're an attractive state. So people, you know, they're one snowstorm away in Indiana from packing up their car and saying, we're getting the hell out of here. And it does happen. In fact, my take on Florida is if you look at the west coast and the east coast of Florida and you follow the highways that go up, It's I-75 that goes right up to the Midwest. I think it ends somewhere in Detroit. And I-95 that goes right up the East Coast. And it really literally brings Midwesterners here and brings East Coast people down to Miami. And from the blue collar perspective, that's a big place. And if you look at that map up there, you'll see a lot of Midwestern states that outpull their weight in terms of manufacturing jobs. So those are the people to attract down. And we actually, even from an HR perspective, put things into LinkedIn and stuff on this after snowstorms and say, why don't you come on down? And believe it or not, it works. And as far as white collar goes, Florida's, as most of you know, Florida's college university education system has improved dramatically in the last, let's say, 20 years. In the beginning, it was creating a lot of these engineers and people who would actually leave the state of Florida. They'd go to Atlanta or to Nashville or to, even further up north. We see that somewhat changing. I mean, if you look at UCF and UF and USF and a lot of these schools, they're producing some high-quality engineers and good talent. The system has gotten better. I think UF just got ranked in the top 25 of all universities by U.S. News and World Report. So that getting that talent to stay here is important. A lot of times they move because it's money, right? If you get paid more and but I think with this younger generation, there's more of a quality of life aspect to it. So they're seeing that. So that's becoming better than it was, say, even 10 years ago.
Yeah, tend to agree with you there. Are you guys doing anything special internally with your current employees to kind of upskill them or kind of move them around inside the company so that they round off their ability to help you?
I'll start with that. In our manufacturing plant, we have a lot of different things that you manufacture. You can solder cable. You can run a machine, which is kind of like playing a video game where you set it up to operate properly. What we do is we take our blue-collar workers, and if they get trained in different aspects, they get bonuses based on what they're trained in, which is better for us because it makes a more flexible workforce. The goal of any manufacturer, they may tell you otherwise, is we want to output the most with the least number of people, because the failure point in most manufacturing is a human being. So if you can get less people doing more work, more output, that's best. And a lot of that, it comes with technology and AI. And so, yes, we're trying to train them up on these things.
Yeah, for us, what we have done in this case, Ramesh, is that, being back in the technology section, adoption of AI within the enterprise, within us, is extremely critical. So it's a very commonly known phrase now, you're not going to lose job to AI, you're going to lose job to someone who knows AI better, right? And that is not far from the truth. So we are doing a lot of work in training and retraining the AI and institutionalizing AI. As a matter of fact, we have few czars inside the organization who are championing it. We just this year, we added to their MBOs the managers that they have to showcase between 3 to 5 meaningful AI use cases that improves the productivity of what they do. Because what's happening is that the expectation from the marketplace is evolving so fast. Before, you could respond a day later, you were fine. Now, if you don't respond to people's requests in minutes, you're behind, right? So you got to leverage the power of the technology to continue to provide that better customer service. It used to be that, weekends were dead. Nobody really did anything, right? In the sense of investigating whatever. Now the number of leads we receive is the highest in the weekend.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
Which means they're expecting a response.
Yep.
Right? So the idea that you work from Monday through Friday and Saturday, Sunday is your time is gone in the space that we are in, because obviously you got to be connected at all time. So absorbing AI and institutionalizing AI is a huge piece of what we do. And just this year alone, we have institutionalized about 60 plus AI use cases across the different parts of the organization about what we do, just to be able to do better. We have not attrited anyone. Yep. The output coming from them has gone up.
Mm-hmm. Give me a second here, Sareet. So can I get the third slide? So I got this data, right? Because everybody talks about AI, and you guys have been doing a version of that from, what, many, many years now, right? 3, 4, 5 years or so. Uh, but when CIOs were asked, right, what is the primary application of most of the people who talk about AI in manufacturing, right? It comes down to productivity gains, right? Which to a lot of people sounds very, very kind of basic. Do you have a take on that? Your opinion, Sareet?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that AI is in manufacturing is a must. Those who do not embrace it at every level, and including on the manufacturing floor, won't survive. I mean, we have. I'll give you two extreme examples. One is in a manufacturing plant, you have a lot of machines. The machines have manuals. So normally if something goes wrong or you want to tweak something, you go back to the manual and you look at it. Well, a very basic thing to do is load all of your manuals for all of your machines into some intelligent device, AI, and it will then tell you what your problem is or will point you in the right direction, right? So that would take an engineer, could be hours, days to find, the needle in the haystack. This is spitting it back at you. So that's a very basic one. But production planning, a lot of the software that's being developed is huge for this because basically every customer wants a schedule. When is my product going to be where, at what time, and when is it coming out? Well, that's all been kind of manually done through different software and spreadsheets. There's a way to make that a much more intelligent flow because, again, all of the capabilities, including how much a worker can output, it's all known data, right? So why do you need now like somebody else to come in and do it when machine learning can do that for you?
Yeah, with my former employer, we used to, we had a great predictive analytics engine, which, I look at it as a precursor to what people are doing today with AI. But Prashanth, do you have another angle on that?
Sure.
Let's talk
So
about that for a minute.
the productivity gain is definitely a given, right? I think that's an obvious one. But even more so important than what we tend to find in the manufacturing is an improvement in the first pass yield. Because the first pass yield means that you're producing better products the first time around with little scrap. As you know, manufacturing works largely in a very low margins in most cases, right? Very rarely do you find a manufacturer with huge margins unless you're in pharma. That's a different market segment altogether. So they're looking for first pass yields to grow, to be higher. They want the throughput to be faster. And how do you handle throughput? Of course, things like planning and scheduling better is critical, but also the feedback loop from what you learn as to what's not working, whether it's in the field, from your supply chain or the manufacturing, to go back and look to redesign or redesign a product, redesign a process, redesign a specific component. AI has now made that to be dramatically easier to do. I'll give you one quick example. If you found a series of issues, non-conformances on the manufacturing floor, before it would take an engineer to investigate and identify a potential root cause, I'm not kidding, a week, to be doing properly with various techniques, like 5Y technique or whatever techniques. And that data would sit in a silo. It would never get passed on to engineers. It would never get passed on to procurement. It would not get passed on to customer service. Now with AI, with the agentic AI, you can interconnect the dots. In many instances, the agentic AI can actually solve the problem for you by simply asking, can you confirm, is this the problem that I'm seeing? And if you say yes, it accesses me and actually do the work. So you're gaining not only a productivity part, you're gaining a throughput yield that goes because you're able to resolve things faster, and the first pass yield quality also goes, which means your cost reduces as a result for the same amount of work you put in, which translates into more capacity being available, which means hopefully you can sell more and gain more out of it.
Yep, well spoken. So we got a minute and a half. Sareet, you want to take 45 seconds, and you got a crystal ball now. Where are we headed?
Well, I guess I'm looking at this audience, and a lot of people look like they have probably, I'm just guessing, children of like high school, college age, things like that. And it's a big challenge, like what's the future for them? I mean, they're probably going to have a 50, 60 maybe even 70-year work career, and an AI, is it a threat to them? Well, I mean, I think that the one thing that you could encourage them all to do is become experts in all the tools of AI that are available to them, whether it be in college or high school or wherever, because I think what he said earlier was right, is the people who can use it efficiently in whatever organizations they're in will become the most successful. And those who are waiting to be shown how to do it will be dinosaurs like us. And so that would be it.
Prashanth, you want to close this out for us?
Yeah, so one thing I'll also say is that there are lots of companies that are coming up with point AI ideas that I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to capitalize on the current trend of insane valuations, raising money to selling the company. A lot of those things will go away because the core offerings, core workflows, core systems will incorporate all of those things back into what it needs to do. So keep looking for a problem that is a meaningful problem that you wish to solve, and incorporate AI-based strategy to be able to solve that. That sets you apart. And that's a huge challenge that we ourselves are going through within our own company, is making us rethink. Just because we were great 10 years ago, we were great a year ago, we were great 2 years ago, we are getting eaten by companies that are coming in with newer ideas and newer approaches. As a matter of fact, we are trying to buy a company now. Had a meeting with the CEO like a couple to 3 times. Every time I brought more people from my team, my statement to them was, you shut up and listen. Just ask questions. Every time the person left and the team looks at each other saying that, crap, we're doing everything wrong in this new economy. And how much of automation can be built and done, and there's so much to learn from it. So there is so much to learn and so much to incorporate and where it needs to go. I don't think we know exactly where things are going, honestly. It's evolving so fast, but we need to have that ability to continue to learn and to incorporate that back into you. If you can do that fast, you're going to survive. If not, we'll all be dinosaurs.
Yep, speaking of dinosaurs, our time's up.
But it didn't last 200 million years.
Clap it out for this amazing panel. Now, gentlemen, before you leave the stage, we'd like to give you some mementos and appreciation for being here. Yes, absolutely. So many insights, so much vision forward, so much thinking, as they said. But Sareet, I appreciated what you said. This is the room of people who will lean in. This is the room. Yeah, clap it out for them one more time, please.
How's Blair doing?
Hey!
Everyone, how's Blair doing?
Yeah. Oh, come on back. More photos. This is good. And I encourage you right now, get your phone out, take a photo of yourself sitting in the crowd. This is happening. Yeah. One of the best announcements that I get to make today, besides all of the inspiring talent, the bright minds, the visionaries. Thanks for that shout out, Ramesh. I'll take that. We're in it together. Team,